A dead Sumatran elephant, its tusks removed. Poachers are suspected. To protect elephants, the transnational trade in modern ivory is banned by international convention. But tusks of the type seen in this footage from Russia in 2016 aren't prohibited. That's because they've come from the elephant's extinct Ice Age relative, the mammoth. Tons of ancient tusks are extracted from the frozen ground every year. But telling the difference between legal mammoth ivory and illegal elephant ivory is a real problem for border security, and is even a challenge for mammoth experts at the Natural History Museum in London. Hi, Adrian. Lovely to see you.
Nice to meet you.
In his office, Professor Lister had gathered together lots of examples of mammoth ivory. What is a mammoth?
Well, a mammoth was a species of elephant. They were actually quite closely related to the living elephants, but the mammoth was a species of elephant adapted to the cold conditions of the Ice Age. And they had a huge distribution. It's been estimated there were probably as many as 10 million mammoths at their peak.
How hard is it to tell the difference between mammoth ivory and elephant ivory?
Once a piece has been carved, like this little mammoth model, which is made of mammoth ivory. Actually, I know that because I bought this at a mammoth ivory shop in Alaska, where they dig up the tusks. However, if I didn't know that, I couldn't tell. I've been working on mammoths, for decades, and elephants, but you can't really tell whether that is mammoth or elephant ivory. The only way you could tell would be to actually take a piece of this and submit it either for radiocarbon dating, because a mammoth would be tens of thousands of years old, or DNA analysis. But first of all, that's destructive of the specimen. Secondly, it's expensive and would take time, weeks, before you got the result.
And if you're a border security guard, trying to stop the trade in illegal elephant ivory, a tough job to try and tell the two apart.
Yes,
I mean,
you couldn't really. There's not really any way of knowing.
I mean, we've got a piece of elephant ivory here. How easy would it be to disguise this as mammoth ivory?
Very, very easy. See, this piece of elephant ivory that's been in the museum for years, here's an equivalent tusk tip from a mammoth, and all you would have to do would be to stain this a brown colour, and you couldn't tell the difference.
So this is a school of anatomy. You'd never guess, would you? At Bristol University, Dr. Rebecca Shepherd, with help from Professor Lister and others, has found a quick way to tell different types of ivory apart using lasers.
There's a piece of equipment at airports around the world called a Raman spectrometer. And this is already used in the identification of materials for things like drugs and unidentified liquids. So we're trying to repurpose this to tell the difference between elephant and mammoth ivory. Essentially, it shines a laser at a sample, and the way that laser bounces back to the detector can tell you really detailed information about what a material is made of.
There are people running legitimate businesses carving mammoth ivory, and presumably your technique will be useful for them because it gives them a way of proving, look, this is legal mammoth ivory.
Absolutely. It can be used to just prove that a sample is what it says it is.
Is there a lot of interest from law enforcement in this new technique?
There is. I've been talking to people within Border Force in the UK and UK Wildlife Crime Agency, and there is potential use for this in law enforcement in the UK.
You're also thinking about different types of things that you could identify using this tech.
I had a really interesting conversation with somebody from Homeland Security recently who said that it's a bit of a problem, people trying to smuggle eggs of endangered bird species across the border from Mexico. So the next project I'd like to get started is to see if we can tell the difference between eggs of different species.
Since she published her results, Dr. Shepherd's work has attracted international interest.
So I'm currently in Hong Kong, and I'm here to present my research at a workshop that's designed to get together people involved in preventing wildlife crime from across all of Asia. So there's people from WWF, people from Border Force, people from Homeland Security, and everyone with an interest in wildlife crime.
Well, the mammoths are extinct, helped on their way by human beings. Some people fear elephants might go the same way.
Mammoths only went extinct 4,000 years ago. And we think that the reason for that was a kind of double whammy of climate change that was happening at that time and hunting by people. And when we look at modern elephants, they are faced by the same combination of factors. So the mammoth, if you like, is a kind of a lesson from the past, that if we don't do something about it, the living elephants may go the same way.
I have seen gods fly.
In the heart of Africa lies the top-secret, high-tech nation of Wakanda, the setting for Marvel's two iconic Black Panther movies, and ruled over by Angela Bassett's Queen Ramonda.
My son, it is your time.
Much of the movie was created using suitably advanced technology, and that includes the Queen's wardrobe, the most elaborate parts of which, her crown and neckwear, were 3D printed.
With the 3D printing technique, you can create more complex geometries, more innovative designs, and also in a more sustainable way.
Julia Kroner is an Austrian designer and architect who specialises in 3D printing high fashion pieces and products, couture dresses, bags, accessories, and ornaments. But it was Queen Ramonda's fabulous attire that caught our eye, and also those of the Oscars judges. Both Black Panther films won their costume designer Ruth E. Carter Academy Awards.
The design process for Black Panther was looking at the traditional Zulu patterns, which traditional African women would wear, and taking those African patterns and digitizing them in the computer to represent the regal attire of the Queen.
There are many different 3D printing techniques, and the crown was created using something called laser sintering, where lasers melt together particular parts of a box of powder, leaving the rest as dust. The end product is then dug out and the remaining powder reused.
But one of the great things about it is that you can realize very filigrane, very fine structures, which you cannot make with any other technology.
How did you get involved with Black Panther? And did you even know who you were working for?
At the beginning, I didn't know who I was working for. I started the design process, then the actress was cast. I literally put into Google Angela Bassett, film star, film technology, and then realized it was for Marvel and Black Panther.
So that's how you found out who you were working for?
Exactly. When I first time watched the film, I think one of the most overwhelming things was to actually see the work on the big screen, to see how many people in the world were able to see this. And I had friends come to me and say, Julia, I finally know what you're actually doing.
Over the years, Julia has collaborated with several haute couture houses. Her designs are unique, inspired by nature, with a focus on using sustainable materials in the 3D printing process. A prime example of this is Julia's Cité jacket, which was shown in Philadelphia's Museum of Art.
I was inspired by the Madagascan sunset butterfly moth because it has these thousands of different colors in its wing. And it was the first jacket made in this technique. The printer, like in an inkjet printing process, puts the material layer by layer onto the jacket. Because it's printed in little dots and points, there's a certain flexibility which stays within the fabric.
3D printing is a technology which seems to be finding its place at either end, but not the middle of the market, amongst those who need expensive, bespoke items and the hobbyists. Cue Toybox.
We make it accessible. If you remember, like 8 years ago, everyone was telling you that 3D printing was going to take over the world, and it didn't. And the reason it didn't is because it's really difficult to do. And that's why the founders of this company created Toybox. What differentiates this printer is all of the technical stuff, the mumbo jumbo behind the scenes, all of that is done for you and you just press print.
Toybox is a small, personal 3D printer that's trying to break the mold. It's connected to an app with 15,000 designs to choose from, many of which are free. The printing process can take anything from 6 minutes to several hours, depending on the complexity of the design and the resolution, the number of lines per centimetre, that you're happy to print at. This little chap took 9 minutes.
It's a little cat.
And it's amazing how intricate you can get.
One of the things that's always intrigued me about 3D printing is the idea that you can create objects that it would be impossible to manufacture in any other way because they're so complex and weird and they've got bits inside and outside other bits. Now you can also make things which are flexible, but you can print them all in one go. So this comes out of the printer as a oneer, and then you just give the joints a little wiggle and it snaps the little supporting struts between each one. And you get something bendy like this hammerhead shark.
Multicoloured toys are printed in their constituent coloured components and then snapped together afterwards. But hang on, how do you prevent just anyone from churning out loads of these copyrighted toys without permission?
So let's say you were going to print SpongeBob's head. You would press SpongeBob's head, it would send a message up to the cloud. The cloud would encrypt that file and send it directly to your printer to only print once. So it never hits your phone, your computer, or your tablet. It only goes to your printer and it's only encrypted to work on your printer once.
But here's a question that's always bothered me. Aren't 3D printed objects always going to be more expensive to make than those identical mass-produced injection molded items that we're all used to? Well, Julia Kerner has a thought on that too.
I think in today's time where we focus on personalization and mass customization, the 3D printing technology brings advantages in these aspects where you can have your unique design personalized in your unique color, maybe with your initials designed into it. Also, I think in today's time, do we really need to produce 1 million of pieces where we end up not knowing if we actually will sell those?
It is an interesting thought, isn't it? But if 3D printing is to be a sustainable alternative to mass production, if we really want to reap the benefits of this technology, well, we do have to be able to afford it. Anyway, that's it from us for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you soon.